when you think about the 7 spark behaviors, you have to understand that you can't just do one and say, ta-da, I'm a leader. They actually complement each other really nicely. And I'm going to be talking about credibility, but I always like to position that with character. Because think about it, if you trust somebody, if you're really influenced by them, they don't just have good character, right? They're not just that nice person who lives their values. They're actually a pretty high performer too. I think we've all worked with people who are, good people, but maybe their workplace performance is a little low. You like them a lot, but you might not go to them first to have, with a question or seeking a solution. But then maybe you've worked with other people, maybe who've had lower character, but they were high performers, kind of like the results at all costs. You may go with them with questions, but you don't really trust them because of their shady, sometimes character. So I like to think about character and credibility as going hand in hand. So have that personal integrity, but then really think about this credibility, this workplace performance that you demonstrate.
Credibility is so important for a leader. Leaders need to maintain a narrow say-do gap, do what they say they're going to do. Leaders need to seek out, understand, and meet the standards of others. Leaders need to communicate their own standards and expectations, and leaders need to hold people accountable to standards and expectations. I think what's interesting about credibility is most of us think about standards that are important to us, and we don't realize that we're really credible in someone else's eyes. When I was in the Air Force, I showed up at my first operational F-16 assignment, and not being real wise to the ways of the military or the ways of the Air Force. I met our maintenance officer and really enjoyed hanging out with him. So every once in a while I'd go to the maintenance building and sit in his office and chat. He told me once, you really should get to know the enlisted personnel because they're the people who make things happen around here, and they're the people who can make or break what happens around here. And I remember being a little bit confused. Here was someone I respected telling me to do something, and I really didn't understand why. So I took his advice. Up to that point, most of my interactions with maintenance had been out at the jet on the flight line right before I flew, or when I turned the jet back over to maintenance after a sortie, letting them know the maintenance status of the airplane. So I took his advice, and I'd go to the maintenance building and maybe try to catch someone in their office and just talk to them for a few minutes, or watch some mechanics working on an airplane in the hangar or on the flight line. And since at that point I didn't really know much about what they did, I'd just ask questions and try to do a lot of listening. And I really just learned so much. I learned about the maintenance folks, their needs, their aspirations, their hopes and dreams, their expectations, when they felt appreciated, when they felt neglected. And it really allowed me to go back and evaluate my role and think about how I could meet those expectations, meet their expectations, work with them even better. And I think even to this day, I just try to listen a lot, and I learn so much. You pick up what people's standards and expectations are, and it just allows you to be able to work with them so much better. And I try to remember that I've got to be credible in someone else's eyes.